I'm 43 years old, and I've forgotten how to feel anything beyond the comfortable numbness of routine. My marriage ended 2 years ago, not with drama, but with the quiet acknowledgement that we'd been pretending for the last decade. Now I live alone in a restored Victorian in Burlington, Vermont, where I edit technical manuals from my home office and tell myself that contentment and happiness are basically the same thing. But on the first Monday of December, a woman walks into the coffee shop where I'm working, and the way she glances at me, just once, over the rim of her cup, cracks something open inside my chest that I thought I'd sealed shut forever. The coffee shop is nearly empty when she arrives. I notice her immediately, though I pretend not to. She's probably in her late 40s with silver threading through dark hair pulled back in a loose bun. She wears a charcoal peacoat and moves with the kind of quiet confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are. I return to my laptop, but my focus is gone. She orders something complicated. I hear her low voice asking about oat milk and cardamom, and then she settles at the table diagonal from mine, close enough that I can see her in my peripheral vision, far enough that it's not weird. Except it is weird because I can't stop stealing glances. I've been out as bisexual since college, but my marriage was to a man, and for 15 years that was my identity. Safe, explicable. When we divorced, I told myself I was too old to start over, too tired to date, too settled to pursue the part of myself I'd quietly shelved. But this woman, she's reading a worn paperback, something literary with a blue cover, and when she tucks a strand of hair behind her ear, I notice paint stains on her fingers. My heart does this ridiculous flutter, like I'm 16 instead of 43. She looks up. Our eyes meet. It lasts maybe 3 seconds, but in those seconds I see recognition. Not of me specifically, but of something. A question maybe. An acknowledgement of the current humming in the air between us. Then she smiles, small, almost apologetic, and returns to her book. I stare at my screen, pulse racing. The document I'm editing blurs into nonsense. I've been doing this work for 8 years, and suddenly I can't remember what a subordinate clause is. 20 minutes pass. I should leave. Instead, I order another coffee. When I return to my table, she's packing up. My stomach drops with disappointment so acute it startles me. But then she pauses by my table. "Excuse me," she says. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I couldn't help noticing. Are you reading the Henderson Manual, the new edition?" I glance at my screen, confused, then realize she can see the title of the document. "Oh, yes. Well, editing it, actually." "No kidding." Her smile widens. "I'm the technical illustrator on that project, Emma Castellano." She extends her hand. I shake it, feeling the rough texture of dried paint against my palm. "Rachel Morgan," I manage. "The Rachel Morgan? I've been working from your edits for 2 weeks." She laughs. "Your margin notes are legendarily precise." That's... I don't know if that's a compliment. It absolutely is. You caught an error in Chapter 7 that would have been catastrophic. We stand there, hands still clasped, and I realize neither of us has let go. Emma starts showing up at the coffee shop every Monday and Wednesday morning. I tell myself it's coincidence, but by the third week, we've established a pattern. She arrives at 9, orders her cardamom latte, sits at her usual table. I arrive at 8:30, claim my corner spot, and spend the first 30 minutes hyper-aware of the door. We're working on the same project, so conversation comes easily. Shop talk about the Henderson Manual, complaints about the client's constantly changing specifications, shared frustration over technical jargon, professional, appropriate, except for the way she looks at me when she thinks I'm not paying attention, except for the way my whole body orients toward her the moment she walks in. By mid-December, Burlington is buried in snow. The coffee shop strings white lights across the windows, and the owner places a small Christmas tree near the entrance, decorated with ornaments made by local artists. Emma brings me one she's made, a delicate glass sphere with a winter landscape painted inside. "For your tree," she says, setting it carefully on my table. I don't have a tree. Oh, she looks genuinely distressed. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to assume. No, I just mean, I haven't bothered this year. Living alone, it seemed like too much effort. She sits down across from me, uninvited, but welcome. That's the saddest thing I've heard all week. It's practical. It's sad. She wraps her hands around her cup. When's the last time you did something impractical? The question lands like a stone in still water. I close my laptop. I got divorced. That's different. That's survival. What's the difference? Survival is necessary. Impractical is choosing joy even when it doesn't make sense. She pauses. When did you stop choosing joy? I want to deflect, but something about the way she's looking at me, not with pity, but with genuine curiosity, makes me answer honestly. Probably around the time I realized my marriage was over but decided to stay anyway. That was about 10 years ago. Emma nods slowly. I was with someone for 12 years, Susan. We broke up 4 years ago. She wanted kids, marriage, the whole suburban dream. I wanted my art studio and freedom and mornings that belonged to me. She traces the rim of her cup. People called me selfish. Maybe I was, but I knew what would happen if I tried to be someone I wasn't. What would happen? I'd disappear, little by little, until there was nothing left but the performance. Something loosens in my chest. Yes, exactly that. We sit in silence, but it's not uncomfortable. Outside, snow begins to fall, thick flakes catching the morning light. So, Emma says eventually, want to do something impractical? Like what? Come to my studio. I'll show you what I'm actually working on when I'm not illustrating manuals. My rational mind lists all the reasons this is a bad idea. We're colleagues. She might not mean it the way my hopeful heart thinks she means it. I'm too old for this kind of uncertainty, but I hear myself say, okay. Emma's studio is in the Old North End, above a vintage furniture store. The space is exactly what I imagined. Exposed brick, enormous windows, canvases leaning against every wall. It smells like linseed oil and coffee and winter air from a cracked window she keeps open for ventilation. This is where the magic happens, she says, shrugging off her coat. By which I mean this is where I panic about deadlines and drink too much coffee. But I'm barely listening because I'm staring at her work. Large-scale paintings mostly, abstracts that somehow capture movement and emotion in swirls of color, and then, scattered among them, smaller pieces, intimate scenes, women in quiet moments, reading, sleeping, laughing together. These are extraordinary, I whisper. They're self-indulgent, but she sounds pleased. They're honest. I move closer to one painting, two women on a couch, one with her head in the other's lap, light streaming through a window. You can feel how much they love each other. That was Susan and me, before everything fell apart. Emma stands beside me. I painted it the week before we broke up. I think I was trying to convince myself we could save it. I'm sorry. Don't be. We were wrong for each other. But the feeling was real, even if the relationship wasn't sustainable. She turns to look at me. Have you ever been with a woman, Rachel? The question should feel invasive, but it doesn't. Yes, in college, a few brief relationships before I met my husband, nothing that I trail off. Nothing that stuck. Nothing that I let stick. I meet her eyes. I think I was afraid. Of what? Of wanting it too much. Of how much easier it felt than any relationship with a man. Of what it would mean about who I am. Emma nods. Internalized bullshit is a hell of a thing. I laugh, surprised. That's one way to put it. What's the other way? That I spent 20 years choosing comfort over authenticity, and now I'm not sure I remember how to be authentic. Emma picks up a brush, examines it, sets it down. Want to know what I think? Please. I think you're brave as hell for walking away from your marriage. I think you're braver than you give yourself credit for. She steps closer. And I think you know exactly who you are. You're just afraid to admit that you want something. My pulse is hammering. What do you think I want? I think you want someone to see you, really see you. She's close enough now that I can see the flecks of gold in her brown eyes. I think you want to stop performing and start living. And I hope, you might want me. The honesty of it steals my breath. No games, no pretense, just truth, laid bare. I do, I whisper. Want you. I've wanted you since that first morning at the coffee shop. Thank God. Emma cups my face in her paint-stained hands. Can I kiss you? Please. Her lips are soft and sure. The kiss is slow, exploratory, and when she pulls back to look at me, I realize I'm crying. Too much? She asked gently. No, perfect. I forgot it could feel like this. We spend Christmas Eve at my house. Emma insisted I get a tree, so we drove out to a farm in Shelburne and cut down a small fir that now sits in my living room, decorated with her handmade ornaments and white lights. She's making dinner, something complicated involving butternut squash and sage, while I sit at the kitchen counter, ostensibly helping but mostly just watching her move through my space like she belongs here. You're staring, she says without turning around. I'm admiring. There's a difference? She glances over her shoulder, smiling. One is creepy, the other is romantic. And which are you doing? Definitely the romantic one. I hop off the stool, cross to her, wrap my arms around her waist from behind. Thank you for this. For what? Cooking. For reminding me that life doesn't have to be small. She turns in my arms, kisses me softly. Life with you could never be small. You're too fascinating. I edit technical manuals for a living. You make language precise and beautiful. You notice details other people miss. You have this quiet intensity that makes me want to know every thought in your head. She tucks a strand of hair behind my ear. You're extraordinary, Rachel. I hope you start believing that. We eat dinner by the tree, plates balanced on our laps, talking about everything and nothing. She tells me about her family in Brooklyn, her path from corporate graphic design to fine art, the year she spent in Italy learning fresco techniques. I tell her about my marriage, the slow death of intimacy, the relief and grief of finally walking away. Do you regret it? She asks. The years with him? No, they made me who I am, but I regret the years I stayed when I knew it was over. I set down my plate. I regret all the time I spent being afraid. And now? Now I'm still afraid, but I'm also willing to try. Emma takes my hand. I'm afraid too. I'm afraid I'll overwhelm you with how much I feel. I'm afraid you'll decide this is too complicated, that you're not ready. I'm afraid. She stops, laughs shakily. I'm afraid I'm falling in love with you and we've only known each other 6 weeks. My heart expands until it feels too large for my chest. Emma, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. But I do say it back, because it's true and because I'm done hiding from truth. I'm falling in love with you too. It terrifies me. But it also feels like the first real thing I've felt in years. We make love slowly, carefully, on the couch by the tree. She maps my body with reverent attention, and I discover what it means to be truly seen. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Every scar, every insecurity, every defended place in my heart. Afterward, wrapped in blankets, watching snow fall outside the window, Emma says, "What do you want, Rachel?" For your life, I mean. I consider the question seriously. 6 weeks ago, I would have said comfort, safety, peace. Now I say, I want to stop sleepwalking. I want to make art, maybe not paintings like yours, but something creative. I want mornings with you. I want to stop apologizing for taking up space. I turn to look at her. I want this, us, whatever shape it takes. That's a good start. She kisses my temple. We'll figure out the rest as we go. It's February now. Emma has a toothbrush in my bathroom and half her clothes in my closet. We're talking about her subletting her apartment, maybe looking for a place together in the spring. It's fast, probably too fast, but it also feels inevitable. Like we're not rushing towards something, but finally catching up to where we were always supposed to be. I'm writing again, not just editing. Personal essays about marriage and identity and second chances. Emma is working on a new series of paintings, women in winter landscapes, finding warmth in each other. We're collaborating on a book project, My Words and Her Images, about late-blooming queer love. I've learned that 43 isn't too old to start over, that fear and courage can coexist, that love, real love, doesn't diminish you. It expands you into the fullest version of yourself. If you're reading this and wondering whether it's too late for you, whether you've missed your chance at authentic love, at choosing joy, at becoming who you were meant to be, I promise you, it's not too late. The first step is the hardest. The second step is easier. And somewhere down that path, you might just find someone who sees you, really sees you, and loves what they find. Are you ready to write your own story of second chances? Share this with someone who needs to hear it, and remember, it's never too late to choose joy.